Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Roster. I want to start off with a question though. Imagine not having to purchase a new battery when the old one dies because you can recharge it like a cell phone. But ProtoFabTT, it develops knowledge-based solutions for improving modern living, and its executive engineer, Ancel Bhagwandeen, he joins us to speak about that battery and much, much more.
Thank you for having me today. Hopefully, what I can share with everyone in terms of what we've achieved recently will be useful to everyone and help their cost of mobility as well.
So even before we talk about what you've achieved recently in your words, give me a little overview about ProtoFabTT. Thanks, Mr. Bhagwandeen.
Certainly. ProtoFabTT is a sole proprietorship entity meant specifically to develop, as you see on my background there, ideation, invention, and commercial innovation as the final outcome from a technology point of view. So we're not really developing things like preserves or pepper sauce. It's more technology. And that's a challenge because historically from Trinidad and Tobago, that's not really expected. So in terms of the age of the company, it's not very old. It's about 4 or 5 years old now. And it came about from the opportunities that resulted from certain grant proceedings where I won some competitions for what you call ideas to innovation type things. And as a result, I went full-time into product development.
And it seems as though that product development is paying off because we have to say congratulations. First place award in the category of sustainable mobility at the Climate Launchpad Global Grand Finals. Now, what was the idea and what led you to that idea?
Well, DK, this one was long in the making. It started just about a decade ago. Way back when there was something called the Ideas to Innovation competition on the 50th anniversary of our independence. And I was awarded a small proof of concept grant. And at the time, it was battery regeneration for regular car starter batteries. That was the technology of the day. And over the years, what has taken place is further technology developments. And I've recently, as of 2020, pivoted to pay attention to the hybrid electric vehicle marketplace. Right now, we have 52,000 hybrid electric vehicles on the road in Trinidad, and it's accelerating at a 3-to-1 ratio over gasoline vehicles in terms of sales. And what took place is an opportunity to also assist Trinidad and Tobago with their carbon footprint from a climate change point of view. Because as it turns out, a single hybrid electric vehicle battery costs 2,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide emissions, typically, in terms of manufacturing. So what we're trying to create here, or almost there, is a means to keep hybrid batteries regeneratable for the average consumer. So it doesn't cost them nearly 20,000 TT dollars to replace in their vehicle. And hopefully it'll be somewhere around 20% of that. And at the same time, we sequestrate carbon dioxide and save the environment and create employment and reduce imports all at once.
Now, you're saying that, and we'll talk about different parts of what it is you just shared. But where do you get the information to make some of these decisions that influence, okay, well, I want to work on this. I want to get something that addresses this problem. And so, and how important is it that you get that information in the first place?
Well, in terms of the pivot from the regular starter batteries to the hybrid, that was basically customer demand. As it happened, within my family, a family member had a hybrid vehicle, and the cost to replace the battery was in that range of 20,000 TT dollars. Just after a couple of years, because what's happening, we have a large roll on roll off market where the vehicles already come somewhat spent on our shores. And with the tropical heat, we also face a challenge in that the battery fails fairly often. So it's a double-sided whammy there, we get hit. So the persons who purchase these vehicles do so for economic reasons. The roll and roll of markets, supports the general public. And unfortunately, when a battery costs 20% of the vehicle, it's a big hit and it's a big surprise. And this is part of the situation that we're facing. So in essence, the market made me realize the opportunity going forward, given the cost of replacement from a sustainability point of view, is in the hybrid electric vehicle market space. So that's how come I got going there.
So if you see this large opportunity, Mr. Bhagwandeen, why do you think that other people weren't chomping at the bit, moving towards a proof of concept and just addressing it like this? Because there's a need, there's an opportunity.
Well, indeed, there are about 3 competitors globally right now. And there's some gear within Trinidad and Tobago that's imported that tries to address the problem. But for various reasons, there's an opportunity in terms of cost of manufacturing locally and support, because the gear that's imported has no representation in the country. So it's at your risk to import it if it fails. And at the same time, there are training opportunities for our young technicians in Trinidad and Tobago for us to develop our own technology, manufacture it here, and perhaps even export it to the wider Caribbean.
And I think that's very important. You said 3 competitors.
Yes.
But this is globally.
Yes.
But at the same time, looking and seeing what it is actually possible here, are there advantages to being able to do it here? You talk about learning and building capacity and people who are training, but what are some of the other advantages you think?
Well, one of the key advantages of product differentiation that we have is we've actually developed a new technology that's in the process of what you call a literature review for patenting. And I'll give you a brief description. Basically, we're ringing the battery like a bell rings electrically. So there's a physical change within the battery to reverse the negative behavior of self-discharge and reduce capacity. So in layman terms, we're ringing a church bell here.
It make me feel, I wonder if you're going to develop something for people's skin just now. You'll have people beating on your doors. But we take a short break and we return. We're speaking with the executive engineer at ProtoFabTT, Mr. Ancel Bhagwandeen. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Ancel Bhagwandeen, the executive engineer at ProtoFabTT. Now, apart from just winning the first place award in the category of sustainable mobility at the Climate Launchpad Global Grand Finals, we're also looking at other things. So what are some of the other things that you're dealing with, Mr. Bhagwandeen? I know there are 2 specifically, so let me know. Thank you.
Well, Dike, I really must address something before I move on to those other 2 items, because it wasn't a one-man show here that took place to bring Trinidad and Tobago to the fore on the world stage, battling with the UK and Switzerland and France and all these other countries. So if you allow me a moment, this Trinidad and Tobago success concerning climate change technology innovation featured on the world stage harnesses support of a number of key entities: the Caribbean Development Bank sponsorship, which empowered the Caribbean Climate Innovation Center out of Jamaica to lead and develop and deliver the Caribbean leg of the competition. And locally, there was support, direct support from Professor Clement Imbe, chairman of the MIC Institute of Technology, who brought the Institute's resources to bear on accelerating this project. And without that level of support, Trinidad and Tobago would not have been able to successfully represent all of the Caribbean people in this collaborative effort. So moving on from that statement, which was essential because only jointly can we move forward together. The other couple of interesting projects that we have going on, which might matter very soon to the average member of the public: electronic steel pan sticks, which I call flicker sticks, was developed some time ago, but is finally reaching the commercial stage. Basically, what you're talking about here are smart steel pan sticks that can change color as you play them, cast light so you create an audiovisual effect. It's sound sensitive, so you can calibrate it for your steel pan. And it's the first smart steel pan stick for the tenor pan in the world. No one else has developed it yet. It was evaluated by the UTT Pan Tuning Academy as being suitable for our steel pan national instrument. And secondarily, we have something for national food security, and incorporated into that, which is a solar hydroponic system, which is being deployed into some schools in South Trinidad as we speak, 5 secondary schools, for training young people in modern farming. Those units will also have the option for the first electrical snail defense system, giant African snail defense system. So a kit will be coming out soon for the public, for a do-it-yourself kit to place around their properties, their small farms, their kitchen gardens at low cost, without any chemicals, without any toxins.
I don't know if I'm going to ask you to divulge proprietary information, but how that working, Mr. Bhagwandeen?
Surprisingly, Dike, the technology has existed for about 150 years. The French have been using it for escargot management, for harvesting their snails, so their snails don't walk away. Basically, it's a low voltage electric fence. That's a basic principle. What I have done is incorporate solar renewable energy, a bit of smart technology, so it has a couple of indicators and some battery management, so the battery will last you 5 years, 6 years without having to worry about it. So once this is placed around your perimeter, let's say you have a concrete wall around your perimeter, it has an adhesive tape, you apply it. Once you place that, you switch it on, and you're done. You walk away, and the snails will walk away as well.
Wow. But so how does it treat with the elements? So yes, concrete wall, but you're uncovering your concrete wall. So will rain, sun, UV light, how does that affect it?
Well, fortunately, the materials that are selected are weatherproof. In terms of the metal, you're talking about aluminum. In terms of the plastic material, PVC, which is standard pipe type of material. So you're looking at 10 to 20 years lifetime.
Mr. Bhagwandeen, how do you decide, okay, well, I'm going to exert some brain power on this issue? Because those 3 things that you've spoken about feel as though they're very on one end of the spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum. So how do you decide, yes, I'm going to sort out this problem?
Well, you have to do a little bit of, I guess you would call it feasibility analysis, a little bit of market analysis. Talk to your friends and family first. You have a need for this? You have a problem that needs solving like this? So that's usually the start. And then you follow up with perhaps what you would call a little workshop, engaging with others, independent people, to get a real feedback. And what you must not do is offer them a product yet. You must try to find out what their pain points are first in order to sweeten the feature set of what you're creating. So it's sort of a competitive analysis of what's going on. And that's how the features bubble up to the surface. And then we can actually start designing to create something suitable.
Now you say that, and that kind of ties into someone saying, okay, well, if you're in sales and you have this product and you want to sell and it's the best thing, many times people don't listen to what it is people are saying, and as opposed to saying, how can I help you? What are your issues? Can this is how this product can best suit. They just say, okay, well, I have this and it going is nice. But you raise the point of having buy-in, finding out what pain points are. And I want to ask, why don't you think that there are more people locally trying to deal with some of these problems? And that is one. And also why you don't have people taking that chance, looking like Caribbean Development Bank and saying, we want to invest in this. What are some of those challenges and barriers?
Well, historically, Trinidad has enjoyed a high quality of life based on their mineral resources. Well, our mineral resources as nationals of the country. And we have not had the need to develop our own solutions. We were able to import them. And unfortunately, that is a symptom of something called the Dutch disease, which happened in the Netherlands in the 70s, where their focus was on their gas fields in the North Sea to the expense of other sectors in the economy of the country. And this is somewhat happened to us. There's actually an IADB paper just about Trinidad and Tobago as compared to the New Guyana experience, so that Trinidad can assist Guyana going forward, because we are living this situation where our mineral resources are depleting, but yet we are at the bottom of the 50 higher income countries in the world in terms of innovation and R&D outcomes on the Global Innovation Index as of 2022. We are on the bottom. We are number 50 out of 50. And it's unfortunate. And why people don't take the chance to go forward locally is there's a lack of interest from the commercial sector because of the culture that we have. And there's a financial risk. Largely, Dike, I have financed most of my efforts. But when we start to talk about global stage and global production, we do need investment. There are some avenues within Trinidad and Tobago, but there's some bureaucracy in there as well that is always a challenge. So those are the reasons. So if you just want to earn money, getting into invention and innovation from a technology point of view isn't the way forward, really. But if it's your passion, don't give up. Fight the battle.
We have about 3 minutes more, Mr. Bhagwandeen. How do people grow that passion, nurture that passion? Sometimes, especially when you are being built to pass this exam. Even if you look at the SEA, where it deals with literacy and numeracy. So it says, okay, well, we don't necessarily need to look at science as much, as opposed to having you able to pass these subjects to go to the school that you put down on a piece of paper. How do we build some of those things a little more, getting people who are a little more willing to embrace risk while looking to create ideas, to invent, to innovate?
The challenge is most people go to school to get qualified, to get a job. This is the pathway. Being entrepreneurial is a more recent sort of effort in terms of developing something new as opposed to doing retail. The University of, our university here, UE, has a center supporting entrepreneurship now, and a program and a course supporting entrepreneurship. So there is a pathway for young people at the university level, but there isn't really a pathway at the CSEC or the CAPE level right now for young graduates. And that's something we need to look at. And hopefully, based on this journey I've had, at least we can use it as a learning experience and share it as much as possible. As per what you're doing here, it'll assist young people to know there's a way forward. And there's help out there. They just have to engage.
And in terms of engaging, in the last minute we have, I want you to know where you are to speak to the younger you or anyone who might be listening about keeping that curiosity towards building. And what are some of those things you tell yourself in a younger you?
Don't take on any debt. That way you can take more risk. So don't take on that mortgage for a car or a house or a vacation. Don't do that. Focus your resources on your own creative self, and you have to follow your dreams. Even if you don't think it's possible, only you can follow your dreams. No one else can. And that's the message I would send.
I really like that. Only you can follow your dreams. We want to thank you so much, Ancel Bhagwandeen, Executive Engineer of ProtoFabTT, for doing what you do. Thank you that people are outside, people are starting to realize the work that you do. Sometimes that's necessary. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us here at In Depth.